Hi, everyone. It's SS Coulter. It's time to slow down once again and bring some joy back into our lives. Today, we're digging into how to stop reacting in the moment and start showing up the way we actually want to. And with that, let there be joy.
Welcome to Let There Be Joy, where SS Coulter talks with experts who share 3 simple, practical ideas you can actually use to help build a life you don't want to escape from.
Welcome to this week's episode of Let There Be Joy. Our guest today is someone I would easily describe as calm, cool, and collected. But even more than that, he is deeply kind. I met him at a coaching event. And if you've been listening, you know that's a bit of a theme for me. I really believe in surrounding yourself with people who are headed in the same direction, who can challenge you, keep you honest, encourage you. And I waited until my late 40s to do this, and I just don't want you to make the same mistakes. So get out there. But now back to my guest. We kept getting paired together. And every time I felt like I was the one doing all the talking, which isn't surprising because I love to talk. But I kept telling him it was his turn. But he would just keep asking me questions, going deeper with me, and offering me insights that have really stuck with me. And that's just who he is. So I'm really excited to have him here, not just for me this time, but for all of us. So we can learn how to slow things down, respond instead of react, and become as cool, calm, collected, and hopefully as kind as he is. It is truly my pleasure to introduce Michael Ostrolenk. I'm going to read you his bio now, and then we are going to let him do his thing. Michael Ostrolenk is a master coach in resilience, leadership, and relationship dynamics, with over 30 years of experience working with high performers, executives, and couples. He helps people build stronger nervous systems, deeper relationships, and more intentional lives by combining physiology, mindset, and real world practices. What I love about his work is that he takes something as complex as how we connect with others and turns it into simple, practical shifts we can actually use in real life, which is what this show is all about. So it is truly my pleasure to introduce Michael Osterling. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shannon. It's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It is going to be great. Like I said, every time we talked, I always came out of it feeling so much better and then also selfish because I talked the whole time. So I am just going to let you get right into your first tip for us today.
So I'm breaking these into body, mind, and spirit. And the first one is the body. And you laid it out by talking about going from reactive to responsive. In my work, that's what I'm pretty much trying to do for all my clients. We all have like ways we show up in the world. You can call them defense mechanisms in the psychological sense. I'm trained as a therapist. So like when someone says or does whatever they say or do, they don't say whatever they say or do, and we become reactive to that. Some people withdraw, some people collapse, some people become aggressive, whatever the thing we do. Ideally, we want to go from that reaction to response, which means we have freedom. We can choose how we want to deal with the person, the situation, whatever it happens to be. So one of the first ways in for that is through the body. And I'm trained as a somatic psychotherapist, so the body plays a really important role. And the first step in is the breath. And, it's really kind of cool these days. I've been in the space for 30 years, and breathing was like, or everyone breathes, but breathing was like a woo-woo California thing just 20, 25 years ago. And now it's like, yeah, you have tons of different types of breathing practices out there. Everyone's doing it from all over, from Hollywood to the military to folks here in New York City or the corporate leaders of the world. So breath is a thing. And breath provides you 2 different things to consider. One is it reflects to you your state in that moment. So it's a good awareness tool. So if I check in with my breath, I'm like, oh my God, I'm holding my breath, or I'm breathing really quickly, perhaps because I'm nervous or anxious, whatever it happens to be. That's a mirror. Like, oh, I get to see what my state is. Not only do we use breath as a tool to see where we're at, we can also modify our breath to change our state. And this is where the multitude of breath practices comes in, from holotropic breath work to Wim Hof to yoga nidra and all kinds of different breathing practices. simple, easy one, and this is have my clients do at the beginning of every session, including my couples, is just a 5 count inhale. So you literally breathe in to the count of 5. You don't hold. You exhale to the count of 5. You don't hold, and you just do that a few times. And what's really and there's multiple different ways of doing that. Just a simple practice. Just by doing that, we can calm down our system. And what happens when we're anxious and worked up is we don't have access to the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of our mind. That's why we say dumb S when we're upset. Like we just, bad things come out of our mouth. Things we wish we hadn't not said, or facial expressions we wish we had not made. And if you're able to calm your nervous system down through a particular breath practice, you have more access to the prefrontal cortex, which means you can make better decisions. Therefore, you're less likely to say things you wish you had not said. You can be more calm, cool, and use your word collective. So just the breathing practice, and I'll throw on top of that a muscular practice, but let me just stop there to see if you have any questions on just a simple breath practice.
To bring it to the simplest thing, you're just saying breathe in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds. Keep doing that. Don't worry about the breathe in for 4, hold for 8, breathe out for 7. Do that if that works for you. But it's as simple as literally slowing down, in for 5, out for 5, 3, 4, 5 times.
As simple as literally as simple as that. And there's different holds. If you exhale longer than you inhale longer than you exhale, it does change physiology.
I did want to ask you about that. I just didn't know it was completely a rabbit hole.
No. But it's just like you just do a 5 count inhale, no hold, 5 count exhale, no hold. It's very simple. Everyone can remember that. And if you do it 6 times, it takes a minute. Because 10 seconds each thing, so it's like adds up to a minute.
Another question though. So I'm just thinking about this in real world. So you're sitting with someone at that moment and you're really mad at the person. We'll just use anger because that's one of the easiest emotions, right? It's one of the biggest sparks that we have. Do you suggest you're not going to sit there in front of the person like, I mean, you might, but
Nostril glaring.
Yeah. Do you suggest walking away for a second, or how would that play out? Like in a real like a real world situation between a mom and her child, or a woman and her husband?
So I would actually make a decision between the two. And actually, with my couples, we do come up with an agreement how we handle a stressful conversation. And it might be appropriate to step away if that's the agreement. We step away, we breathe, we come back.
That's what I
However,
had to do.
okay.
Insight, but get out of the room.
whatever you have to do that makes it work, that's really cool. My only thought on that, and this is where I said the agreements, you really want to have an agreement with your partner on how that is done, because on occasion someone might have an abandonment issue. So you walking out of the room, you're like, I'm protecting this relationship by walking out and catching my breath and coming back in. They're like, he or she's leaving me. That's the deep down psychological thing. They're not going to see it as a positive. They're going to see it as like, re-triggering their deep wound. That's why it can be helpful to like have an agreement. Like, hey, if I walk out of the room, it's not because I'm leaving the relationship. It's because I just need a couple minutes just to calm myself down and come back to engage the conversation. Hopefully share that as a strategy.
Oh, that's a great point. Because if some people then they think that's over, you're leaving me.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes the whole thing worse. So you said you were going to distinguish between the couples and then children.
Yeah. So think about this. What you do, your child learns more from what you do than what you say. So if you're upset and your child sees you upset and you're sitting there literally doing some deep breathing, you're teaching them that, yes, it's okay to have the feeling. I'm not repressing the feeling. I'm not pretending like it's there. I'm not 3 years old. I don't have to act on it. I mean, you can choose to, but you don't have to. And I'm actually going to manage my nervous system and calm myself down to engage this, depending on the age of the child in a different way than I would have if I was in a reactive state. You're showing the child that that's a good thing. That's what mommy or daddy or whoever the person does, which is a great tool for them to see like, oh, I can have my feeling. And there's a practices I can do to help manage my nervous system. I'm not saying deny the feeling, but I can calm myself down a little bit so that I can have better choices.
I'm thinking in that moment too, as mom or dad is breathing, and you said the child is watching, they're going to probably pick up on that, which I think we're going to talk about in maybe the next tip. they're probably going to start doing the breathing. The whole situation is going to be calmed down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a nice thing for a child to see a parent, like, literally state change in front of them. But I wanna be clear, it's not that any of these practices that I teach are not about repressing the feeling. We're human beings. I think it's important to feel angry, feel sadness, feel joy, feel bliss, whatever the feelings are. Doesn't mean you have to act on them. And that's where the maturity comes in. You can, like, I can choose to act on this or not. But at least I'm choosing, I'm not going off my programming that I picked up when I was 5 or 4 or 8, whenever the thing kind of emerged in my system. Just a piece of this too is aware of your posture and muscle tone. So not only being aware of your breath, because your breath tells you your state, but so does your posture, your muscle tone. So if I'm kind of collapsed like this, or some version of the collapse, or I'm startled, or, whatever my posture is, or the tightness of certain muscles, that's valuable information for me. It's a reflection of my psychology as well as my physiology. So just become aware of, like, when I'm stressed or when I'm angry, these muscles get tight in my shoulders or my jaw or my, whatever it is, like, valuable information. Cool. So use it as mirror to, like, something's going on inside of me because my posture is shifting. These muscles are getting tight, just like my breath is changing. Now, I'm not going to go into how to modify those. I gated breath in, but at least you're, like, becoming aware of, like, oh, wait, when I'm upset, this happens in my body, these muscles get tight, or my posture shifts this way, or valuable information
So we're learning here that your body is communicating to you,
all the time.
and
Yeah,
take a moment to listen to it because it will tell you the state you're in, and then you can shift that state.
100%. It's a mirror to your psychology.
Hmm.
And although I think it is important for cognition, like how we think about our thinking, the conversations we have in our head, conversations, the words we use with other people, all that's really valuable. But just as valuable, and this is where psychology misses it, because psychology goes from ear to ear. It's like, yeah, we have this whole body thing here. And our breath, our muscles, our organ systems all play a role in reflecting back to us our state, what's actually going on inside of us.
Very helpful. The clenched jaw. Yeah. Okay. Pay attention to that. All right. So then moving on to your second tip.
Yeah, so this is going to be an integration of the body mind. This is physical touch, and this can go from a parent to a child or a parent to a parent. And what you and I talked about offline is, all things being equal, when a baby is born and there's no medical emergencies, the mother grabs the baby and puts the baby on her chest. And there's fantastic immune and neurological reasons for those things to occur. It's a natural reflex. Thank God, we know how to do these things for the most part. There's other, there's some women who, for whatever reason, don't know how to do that, or this culture says not to do those. And we can have that conversation. But let's just assume that happens. It's beneficial because the child does not know how to regulate its nervous system. It doesn't have a strong enough self sense that can regulate its breath, its muscles, its GI system. Like, if when it pees, it pees. When it poos, it poos. It's not going to, like, can't control itself at that moment. When it's hungry, it cries. It naturally does these things. So in this case, the mother plays the role of teaching the baby to regulate through the touch, through the temperature, through the voice, the conversations that the mother has. You could imagine, and this is kind of commonsensical, yelling at a baby is going to have a different effect than when you're gooing and awing with the little baby, right? And there's a natural propensity to ooh and ah. Why? Because it calms the mother down, it calms the baby down. It plays that role. We play that role all the time. It's not limited to, like, in the first many, many months or first year of a baby being born. It's like we can do that for each other all the time. It's just a mindset. So it goes back to the body piece. If I'm going to touch my partner and attempt to, know, bring her peace in her space, I got to make sure my body's at peace. Or if I'm holding a baby, if I'm worked up, if I'm stressed, if I'm anxious, that energetic is just going to part from me to the person I'm touching, whether it's a baby, a child, or a partner. So I need to manage myself first. And that's where the breath comes in. There's other exercises you can do, but, like, calm your system down, you calm your mind down, and you're like, okay, now that I'm calmer, how can I touch this person in such a way that they feel safe, loved, connected to, with your partner, your marriage partner? That's a conversation. Like, you guys have to, because you're adults, you can have this kind of conversation. Like, what feels good? when I touch you, if at all, some people deal with trauma, so they don't want to be touched. But like generally speaking, like if how might I touch you that makes you feel held and cared for by me, and your partner can share that with you, and that's what you do. You can offer that to them, but you have to calm your nervous system down, and then you do that. The same thing with children. I mean, mothers do this naturally. A baby's crying, you pick the baby up and you move around. Like just that movement and touch has that benefit. But you don't have to like stop between the 1 year old and then now you're married and you're with a 30 or 40, 50-year-old man or woman. It's like whatever. But you can do that all the way in between. Like,
Yeah.
if your 10-year-old hurts themselves, you can also hold them.
You hit me over the head like a ton of bricks when you said yelling at a baby.
Yeah.
Like, we would never yell at a baby. And I was just thinking through what that would do to a baby. And then you just said you can take it from the 1-year-old to my 50-something husband.
Yeah.
Why do I think it's okay to yell at him?
You're gonna have somewhat of the same outcome. I mean, the baby even is worse for the baby because the baby doesn't have any context, doesn't understand. They don't have a mental self sense built that they can say, "Oh, my mom's having a rough day, and that's why she's taking it out on me." It's like, no, it's taking it out on me because there's something wrong with me. 50-year-old hopefully has a little bit more of a capacity for context.
Yes, I hope he
You hope
does.
so. And yet I mean, you're gonna have an effect. Like, do you really wanna yell at
Yeah.
someone who's your love of your life, your partner forever?
Well,
Like,
and the state of your body to just go, if I'm gonna reach out and touch someone right now and I'm like this, the fact that you can transfer that onto somebody else is
yeah,
so interesting. And I feel like we're starting to understand that a lot. We talk about the energy around you, like people can feel that.
right.
So of course they can feel it coming off of your touch.
Yeah,
So you're
100%.
kind of saying with the two of these things, both with the breath and the physical touch, it's really checking in with yourself before you put anything on anybody else.
And that I would encourage that for everything. Every contact with another human being, I would say you don't wanna leak your energy onto them.
Ah, okay.
It's like, okay, I wanna manage myself. I wanna get myself calm, cool, and collected as appropriate. There might be times that it's useful to get worked
Right,
up and raise your voice and,
right.
there
My
might be
husband does deserve to be yelled at sometimes.
exactly, exactly. Few and far between, but there might be time. Yeah, and it's interesting because on the energetic side of thing, people say, "Oh, that's kind of woo woo woo," but it's actually not. There's a lot of good research that's been shown that our energetic field, like the heart, produces a field that can be measured feet away from the heart. The brain, I mean, we already know that you can do EEGs and there's gamma, beta, alpha, theta, literally brain waves that can be measured,
Mhm.
on the brain, but these things can be measured at a distance. So what's happening inside of me, as you just said, has an effect on the person around me.
It says in the Bible, I mean, God is light.
Mm,
Light is energy. So we all are producing energy at all times. It's actually a very beautiful thing. And so
yeah.
this is a great segue to our third tip, but we're going to take a quick break.
Bring joy back to your kids' day with Planet Fasa. Character building books, daily games, free screenlight activities, coloring pages, and more. Visit the Planet Fasa at sscoulter.com.
Welcome back. We are here with Michael Ostrolenk, and we are going to go into his third tip right now.
All right. So the first one's more body oriented. The second one's body mind oriented. And this is soul or spirit oriented, but integrates the body and the mind. And I break these things up for conversation's sake because we do this with English. We break things into pieces and talk about them, but we're integrated whole. So that's really, we're a whole human system. But I just do these for conversation purposes. So soul or spirit, one of the things I encourage people to think about is what is your ethos? What is your value system? What are your guiding principles? Another way to think about that is, and discipline is an important part of the work that I do with my clients, but disciplines means you're a disciple of something bigger than yourself. So in the religious sense, you're a disciple, if you're a Christian, of Jesus and the Christ and God, like you're a disciple of that. So the question would be, what are the guiding principles that through that tradition, if that's your tradition, would guide me in how I engage with myself and those around me? And it's important to be really clear. And I talk about going from abstract to concrete. And what I mean by that is if in your tradition, let's just say love is an important concept, which it is because you just named it in the Christian tradition, love and light, right? And the
Mhm.
light. Um, so my question for clients, like, how do you embody that specific principle that you find in the Bible? as an example, to be more loving. Because just to say, I want to be more loving, that sounds nice, but I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know how to assess whether you're doing that or not. So be really clear on what the behaviors would be to indicate you're living up to that spiritual standard or value system or ethos, whatever it happens to be. And then you can assess how you're doing and you can make course corrections. Yeah. So just abstract to concrete. And I say all this stuff because I work with adults and we're not 3 years old, which means we don't have to act on our feelings, our thoughts, and our emotions and our sensations like a 3-year-old does. They don't necessarily have the management of their own nervous systems to manage themselves better. I mean, they're probably better than a 2-year-old and then a 1-year-old. You learn these things over time, but we're not three. We're adult human beings, and it's important to feel your feelings, but not to have to act out on them. And one way to ensure we don't act out on them, besides managing our breath and our posture and our muscle tone and our thinking, what are our guiding principles? And am I living them in this moment? So maybe my impulse is to scream and yell at you for whatever reason. I want to do that thing. And I'm like, no, my tradition tells me that I need to come from a loving place. Yeah, and this is what it means for me, and this is how I embody a loving place. And maybe a loving in this case might require a little bit of a raised voice. Maybe I do need to get a little bit more excited. That's always a possibility. It doesn't always have to be like Zen calm, you know, but you want to come from that place. And then you can assess, like, okay, this is what loving means to me when I'm engaging this particular person. How well did I do? Did I live up to the standards that I created for myself? This is not to beat yourself up. Oh, I suck. No, if you do that, that's useful information for your therapist or your coach and for yourself for self reflection. But it's like tomorrow or the next encounter with this person, I'm going to try a little bit harder. I now realize where there's lack of alignment between my belief systems and my behavior. And here's a few things I can work on. Maybe I do need to work on my breath a little bit more. Maybe I do need to work on my mindset because maybe my mind, I start working my breath, but my mind goes, oh, she's at, and I start doing the thing in my head and getting myself even more worked up. Like, okay, no, I got to remember I'm a vessel of God coming through me and whatever the thing is for you. And like, I want to do this in a loving, caring, compassionate way. So, okay, I'm going to remind myself in my own head. In the Indian tradition, it's called a mantra, but you can, a word or a phrase that's meaningful for you that kind of guides you into the kind of behavior you want to do. So you dial in your breath, relax the body, you get a good mantra in or phrase you're saying, you remember what your guiding principles are. If they're biblical, maybe there's a passage in the Bible you can constantly do. Like, okay, I just want to remember who I am, what I'm here to do, and I
Right.
want to live a certain way. And then I do that thing.
So, what's
Yeah.
a good example I can think of is Jesus came in grace and truth.
Hmm.
And that's something I use all the time because he didn't come with grace and grace,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And he didn't come with truth and truth. And I saying that because sometimes you have to tell somebody something truthful
Yeah.
that can be very hurtful,
Yeah.
but then you can do it with grace. And
100%. That's why I say,
that's
like,
kind of what I
sometimes
heard
it might
there.
require you to raise your voice. Like, that's kind
Uh-huh.
of fits into that whole
That's
thing.
kind of what, yes. Like it might be a hard thing to deliver, but when I think of my Lord, I'm like, yeah, he would have delivered that, but he would have had grace with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I try to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not always that graceful, but that is how I would translate what you said into my real life because that's what I go back to.
And I think that's beautiful. And, something people listen to this are like, okay, here's my value set. Here's my principles. Here's my ethos. How am I doing embodying it? One of the things, three things we can do is self-reflect. Like, how well did I do? Now, sometimes we can delude ourselves like, oh, I did great. Like you didn't, or I did really poorly. You did great. So it's not 100% accurate,
Okay.
but reflect like, how well did I do living out those values? But it's also why this is important to have a good partner, like your husband or your wife, like, assuming that they're honest and open and that kind of stuff. You have that kind of relationship where you can deeply share, then you can get feedback. Like, hey, wifey, my attempt was to do this, whatever this thing was. I'm trying something new. How did I do? And, she might say something like, I really appreciate your attempt to try something new. Your delivery wasn't that great. Let me give you some feedback why, oh, okay. So you got to, kind of be open to that conversation. but that partner can give you good feedback on how are you embodying your values. Very similar to like the first person delusional thing, like I can delude myself. Be mindful that your partner might be having a bad day and might be taking it out on you. So like his or her constructive criticism at times might be more criticism than constructive because for whatever reason going on in their life. So hold it lightly as you'd hold your own self-evaluation lightly, but take it as valuable information. And then a third thing that I recommend to my clients, this is first person. First person is like self-reporting, self-reflection. Second person, someone else giving you feedback. Third person is there a way to objectively measure a way that you're trying to show up in the world? And there are actually really cool technologies out there like heart math or different biofeedback devices that give you immediate reflection on your or HRV or your heartbeat or your pulse, your blood pressure, all kinds of really cool measurements that show, oh, I am not relaxed. I'm a little anxious, and it shows up in this objective measurement. Or maybe, wow, I'm really calm and cool. I feel that, but I'm also being measured. It's being measured that way too.
This has been so valuable, so many great insights. And I want people to be able to reach out to you and understand everything that you do because you do resilience coaching, you coach couples. So, can you tell people where they can find all of your resources?
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. Appreciate that. So, michaeldostrolenk.com, my website, and it has my corporate coaching, my couples work, my co-lead a men's group of JC Glick, individual work. And then if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on social media way too much and too often. Substack by my name and Instagram by my name too. I usually post daily.
And I'm going to spell Ostrolenk for everybody who's just listening. It's Ostrolenk. So Michael D. Ostrolenk. Such valuable insight. So I'm going to do my best to recap this right now. Number one, use your breath as a tool to see where you are at the moment and also check into your posture and your muscle tightness. And those things will communicate to you what your state is. And then you can do simple things like breathing in and out 5 and 5, 6 times per minute to really get yourself calmed down. And if you're doing this with a spouse, talk about the best way to do it. And it's really great to do it in front of your kids because then they will see you regulating and regulate with you. And number two, we talked about physical touch. We can regulate each other's nervous system with how we touch. And so we want to make sure our body is at peace before we touch each other. So the idea would be to calm yourself down before you go and put your touch on somebody else. And then number three is spiritual. You want to be clear what your guiding principles are so you can check in to see if you're living that way. And you said to check on this, we can self-reflect, we can get feedback from our spouse, and then we can do objective measures the way we're showing up with all sorts of different devices that are available these days.
Right on.
Awesome information. So for people who are listening, if you want a summary of Michael's tips and insights, you can download today's Joy PDF at sscoulter.com/joy. If this episode gave you something you want to try, I can't imagine it didn't. It sparked an idea in you, or you do try something and it has a valuable impact on your life, I'd love to hear it. So please send me a voice memo on Telegram at @sscoulter. If you have ever found yourself reacting in a way you wish you hadn't, ever, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need this insight today. And the next episode, we're going to be talking about how to help both parents and children find their way back to calm and connection. So I hope you will join us. I'm going to come back to our guest, Michael. First off, thank you so much for being here. It was as awesome as I thought it was going to be. But I just want to have you impart some final words of wisdom for the listeners on just bringing joy back into their everyday lives, into their relationships.
Oh, I love that. So I have a practice I have all my clients do. It's a gratitude practice. And first thing in the morning, one of the first things I have people do is like name 3 things you're grateful for. And it's kind of typical. A lot of people do this, and I think it's a really important practice. And it could be like for a particular person, a particular incident. It could be existential and spiritual. Like, thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up this morning and have a whole new day in front of me. And whatever the thing is, if it's related to another human being, and you're like, oh my God, I remember my 3rd grade teacher, he or she did this, or my best friend did this 5 years ago, or my husband did this last night, reach out to them and thank them. Text, Zoom, email, whatever the thing is, pay it forward, because you never know what kind of day that person's having, and you might just turn their whole day around just being grateful for them being in your life for something they did for you. I think that's a really nice practice to do on a daily basis.
That is beautiful. So we're going to pay our joy forward.
Pay your joy forward.
Everybody who's listening today, I just want you to know that you are very loved. You have an amazing purpose in this life. And this is the day the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let there be joy. Bye for now.
What did Elizabeth say when John leapt in her womb? That ain't gas.